Welcome back to Toes in the Sand with Lisa. I am so excited that you're here with me today because you are in store for a treat. I have spent about an hour with an most amazing woman. Michelle Perzan has not only been a great friend of mine the last few years, a prayer partner, a prayer warrior, a strong and courageous woman, but she is truly an overcomer. And when you hear her story today, you might want to grab a Kleenex or two because what this woman has been through and not just survived it, but thrived through it is almost unbelievable. I just got back from the second annual Rock Walk. Now, Michelle Perzan and her husband Aaron host this event each year. They started it last year and the numbers quadrupled this year. ROC stands for Reign Over Cancer. And this is a walk that she started that supports her foundation called the GEST Foundation. And you're going to hear more about this on the interview, but I wanted to show you, I'm going to take off my cute pink sweatshirt and show you this awesome t-shirt. On the front, it says, I am strong. And this is the t-shirt that we all wore this last weekend when we walked in 50-degree, drizzling, rainy weather for about an hour in honor of loved ones that have been going through cancer or in memory of loved ones that we have lost in the battle of cancer. And so I think that you're going to be you're going to be in store for such a treat today on the show. I spent about an hour with Michelle and she really shares about her family, her journey, and just almost unbelievable circumstances that she has been through, and yet she contains the joy and peace and just light and passion and love, and you're going to see something real special in this woman. So without further ado, would you please help me welcome my dear friend, prayer warrior, amazing woman of faith and courage, and overcomer, Michelle Perzan. Okay, I'm so excited to be sitting here. Well, we're not actually sitting side by side, but we are kind of sitting side by side. Michelle Perzan and I. Michelle is not only is an amazing friend and a woman of faith and a prayer partner, but she is an overcomer. And she has an incredible story to share with you today. And so I'm just so excited. Michelle, I really appreciate you taking the time to be on my show, to share your story and your life and your vision. And we both pray that some nuggets that are shared today will give someone else hope and encouragement. So without further ado, I just want to introduce to you all Michelle Perzan. And Michelle, would you just start off by sharing about your journey, your story over these last few years? I know that it's going to resonate with a lot of women.
Sure. First of all, thanks for having me on your show. I'm just so proud of you, and I think what you're doing is amazing. And I've loved even watching you grow from just this being an idea to having a TV show. And I'm just honored to be on your show today. I'm excited.
We're glad to have you.
It's interesting because it's right now February, and 5 years ago, February 27th, I actually got a call that nobody wants, saying that I had cancer. Oh, that just made me emotional.
Wow, 5
February
years.
is a very emotional month for me just because of that. It literally changed my life. At the time that I received that call, I was home alone, and I didn't realize they would just tell you over the phone that, oh, by the way, the tests came back, it's positive, you have cancer. I'm originally from Canada, so I didn't have any family around me. And I just remember thinking I had already lost my dad to cancer, my oldest brother, my baba, who's my grandma, 2 aunts, and my mom was currently in hospice in Canada with bone cancer. So you can imagine, as I got that call, as it sunk in, I was just like, now what? And that was 5 years ago. And when I talk about it, I still get emotional because it's a life-changing call. And I had to decide in that moment, like literally in that moment, what I was going to do. Before I even talked to Aaron or anybody else, I just stopped and I prayed and I asked God to give me the strength to get through every single moment. And I promised him right there, I said, if you can help me battle this cancer, get through it, I will do whatever you ask me to do. I will praise you through the whole storm. I will do whatever you ask me to do. And that was my promise made right there. I promised God and myself that I would have a positive attitude and lean on my faith to get through every single moment.
Wow. Just hearing that, Michelle, I remember meeting you at a conference that we've both been attending for years now called the Ambitious Women Conference. And I'll never forget our dear friend and mentor, Esther Spina, had somehow, and I don't remember exactly how it happened, but you ended up on the stage. She asked you to share a little something. And you said you had something you needed to tell everybody. And you had just gotten that call, maybe 2 or 3 weeks before that conference. And you shared with hundreds and hundreds of women that you didn't even know that you had been diagnosed with cancer. And we could have heard a pin drop in the room. It was just, the emotion was so deep and the love for you was so instant by everyone because of how boldly you just shared that. But you shared that you were going to dig deep for your faith in God and and surrounding yourself with people that were positive, and that you trusted that you were going to get through it. So continue your story and tell us what happened next, and how did you find the spiritual and mental strength to go from where you were when you first got that diagnosis to where you are today?
It was honestly one day at a time. Sometimes it was 1 hour at a time. Just learning to ask for prayer and learning to ask for help. I'm the person that gives. It's very easy for me to give, to provide. What can I do for you? What can I do for you? Like, that's my natural heart. Mm-hmm. So to have to now know that I had to ask for help was a challenge for me, but I'm so glad that I went through that, because I have to learn to ask for help. There's so many people out there. Most people are usually a natural giver or receiver. That's just how we are. But when we can do both, it's so powerful, because I know when I give, it makes me feel fulfilled. So what somebody had said to me, a very wise person, said, if you're not allowing people to give to you, then you're robbing their joy. Mm-hmm. And I was like, so I had to learn to receive and be okay with that. And it was just every day I had to pray. Every day I had to ask God for strength. Every day I had to fight off that enemy saying, you're going to be like the rest of your family who has died from cancer. Mm-hmm. And I had to say, no, I had to go right to the Bible where it says, I was going to declare that it ends with me. It's never going to go to another family member. It's never going to touch my children. And just walk in that and say, how can I make a difference? How can I make me going through cancer different than my mom, my dad, my brother, my relatives? And that's why I became vocal about it, because I come from an Italian family and Ukrainian. My mom was very quiet about things, they're very, they keep things very inside. It's just personal family stuff. It doesn't leave the house. So I thought I need to do things differently. Nobody knows how to pray for me or help me if I don't tell them. They can't read my mind. So that's why you always watch what you say. You say, God, I will do whatever you call me to do. He will call you to do something outside your comfort zone. And he kept putting on my heart to write a book. And I was like, all I thought was, who am I to write a book? And then I kept getting from the Lord, who are you not to write a book? Mm. You could help one person. That's all that matters. You've helped that one person.
Wow. So what stage of your cancer treatments were you in? How far into your journey were you in when you started writing your book?
I had my bilateral mastectomy, and I had all my lymph nodes out on my left side on April 15th, 2014, 2 days before my husband's birthday. When they first even diagnosed me, they said, it's just one little area. All you need to do is a lumpectomy. We'll do some radiation afterwards. Everything's great. And I remember going back and I just kept praying, saying, well, God, just show me what to do and just give me, peace and confidence about it. And I would go to sleep and I'd have the same dream every night. I feel like when God shows me things, I get them in dreams. Mm-hmm. And he kept showing me that I was having a bilateral mastectomy. And I thought, well, that's strange. It wasn't even an option. They said I didn't need it. So I would ignore it and I'd go back to sleep the next night, have the same dream. And finally it was less than a week before the surgery, I said, Darren, I keep getting this dream that I'm supposed to have a bilateral mastectomy and I'm not really comfortable with a lumpectomy. And he's like, if you had a dream, I trust you, that's what we should do. We called the hospital to talk to the doctor to say that we want to make sure we were scheduled for that instead. And when we called, they said, well, we have you down for a bilateral mastectomy.
Wow.
I was like, okay.
And they had never said that before.
It was an option they gave, but they said that all they recommended was a lumpectomy. And when I went in for the surgery, as soon as I woke up, the first question I asked Aaron was, did they find more cancer? And he was like, that's what you're going to ask me? And I said, did they? And he said, yes, they did. They wouldn't have done the bilateral. They wouldn't have found the second area of cancer or the third area of cancer. So I'm glad I was obedient and listened, but just I was thankful. I was like, thank you, God, for showing me what to do. And thank you for revealing that so that we could get rid of it.
This first season of my shows is called Connecting. And I'm hearing you speak about these dreams and this conviction that you had in your heart and your mind, that you knew that the message that you were hearing from God was the one that it was from him, and that was what you needed to do and obey. And I think about that connection that you no doubt have had with your Creator throughout this entire season of probably throughout your life, but particularly throughout this entire season of your life, and how incredibly valuable that has been. I can remember a couple of years ago, my husband and I were on our 25th wedding anniversary. Believe it or not, I laid on the beach in the Dominican Republic and read your book and just had tears streaming, walking through your story. But that connecting, having that deep connection has truly been life-saving for you, hasn't it?
Yes, absolutely life-saving. But it's sometimes we just think, oh, it's just a dream, or we think, oh, you keep getting things in your head over and over again, whether it's a name or a word or something like that, and we push it to the side. And I found the more I got into God's word and praying, the clearer I saw that it was a God nudging me or pushing me. Sometimes we say, I have a gut feeling that that's not right. Or you get that, you know what I mean? You get that feeling. God's created our body in such a way that if you're getting that feeling, perhaps it's him nudging you a certain way of, maybe don't go to that house, or maybe don't go here today, maybe stay home. Like, there's a way God protects us in his own little way. It's just us having our ears open to hear and eyes open to see exactly where he's guiding us. And the more you get in prayer and have a relationship with him, the more you can hear it and see it. And that's all I kept praying to him, is just show me and let me see it.
Wow. Connecting with our Creator is truly that's the most powerful relationship that we can have in our lives. And then connecting with ourselves, the ability to really dig deep and like you said, sense what it is we need to do next. And it seems like you have such a strong connection there. But another piece that I want to ask you about is connecting with other like-minded women. Tell me about these last few years and just being connected with others who brought you life and strength through their words and their encouragement and their actions.
Oh my gosh, I'm so thankful for my circle. There's so many. It actually all stems from the Ambitious Women's Conference, where I met you and so many amazing women. But that's where I met, it was Cassandra Washington, who was doing a compilation book called Emerge. And I remember she had asked me to do a chapter in the book. And that's really what started me to really just step out of my comfort zone. Being in that, writing my own book, Strengthen My Storm, Faith in Breast Cancer. But then even after that, then there was, I believe it was you and Trish that started Draw the Circle, a Bible study where there's a bunch of us ladies that got on and went through that. And from that, for the last 2+ years, Glenda and I have been doing a prayer call Mondays and Wednesdays that have stemmed from that, because we just wanted to go further. We wanted to make sure that if somebody had a prayer request, they knew that they could get on Monday and Wednesday from 8 to 8:30, and we would lift them in prayer, stand in agreement, just believe for miracle signs and wonders. Like, it's so interesting. It was from that one time that you spoke of where Esther had said, is there someone else in the audience going through cancer right now? And I remember standing up, but it was not my strength making me stand up. I would never have done that. I was so shy and introverted. And it's all from that. Just, it's so important that we just stretch our comfort zone. And when we find what we're doing, what we're called to do, our purpose, and even if it's uncomfortable, we just keep walking towards it. It's amazing what God will open up for us and how he'll grow us and how he'll put more like-minded people in our circle so that we can strengthen each other. That's the powerful thing about our circle. If you have a need, you can call or text me. If I have a need, I can call and text you or any of the other ladies. And we know that it's a safe place and we can encourage and pray for each other. And there's nothing more powerful than that.
That is so critical, to be around people who lift us up in prayer, lift us up in encouragement. And I know you and I have talked about this, and we share some of the same circle of friends, these wonderful, ambitious women that we call them. And in fact, a group of them were with you this past weekend. To have women around us that are passionate about their own mission and business and whatever it is God's calling them to do, but they're also as equally as passionate about each other's. And they go about life with this mindset of, how can I help you? How can I help you? And that is just, it is just a blessing to be a part of that. You mentioned being so shy on that stage, and I remember that. And Michelle, 5 years later, I look at you now, and you've written a book. So you're an author, you're a speaker, you get on stages at conferences and share your story. So maybe share a low time, and then share something that spurred you on, and then go into talking about your foundation and how powerful of a ministry that has become.
So after the bilateral mastectomy, you can't do anything for up to 6 weeks. You can't lift things. You can't. It's a major surgery. But what they do with the bilateral in 2014 is they would put expanders in behind your muscle of your chest, and that's how they expanded the walls to be able to put implants for reconstruction. So they don't, when they tell you that you're going through surgery, they don't tell you about any of the after stuff. They just prepare you. This is what we need to do, and which is fine. My mind could probably only process so much anyway when you're going through that. But it was 2 days after the surgery, I was able to come home. It was April 17th, 2014. It was Aaron's birthday. I remember I got to come home. He sat me down. And I remember as soon as he got me comfortable, I was sitting in a chair because that's my only comfortable area. He gave me the remote and a glass of water, and his phone rang. And still remember to this day, as soon as the phone rang, I knew what the call was. I just had that feeling in the pit of my stomach. And he answered the phone. It was my sister. And he hung up, and I just looked at him and I said, my mom passed away, right? And he was like, yep. And it was amazing. It was almost like she waited for me to get home, that I was safe, in my chair. And I remember just crying uncontrollably. But thankful. It was almost, I never got to tell my mom I had cancer. I'm the baby of the family. She was on so much medication at the time for the pain that I thought it wasn't going to help her. She was in Canada. So I made that choice to be unselfish in the moment when all I wanted to do was call her and say, your baby has cancer. Can you just tell me I'm going to be okay? It was Easter weekend. So they couldn't do anything for the funeral till it was a Friday, I believe, and till the next week to plan anything. And I prayed and I just said, God, you know my heart. I just want to be there. I traveled by myself to Canada. It was less than a week after my bilateral mastectomy. I had tubes. I had to have wheelchair from every area to the planes. But I just knew I had to be there. I still to this day look back and I wonder how I had the strength to get on a plane by myself, to be at my mom's prayers, the funerals, to be with relatives. But I know it was only by the grace of God I got to go, and that he gave me strength. And it was such a testimony to people around me and all my family in Canada to show how good God is, that I was there by myself and honoring my mom and seeing everybody. And but that was it. I mean, it still upsets my husband because to him, he sees his birthday as a day she passed away, but I don't. I see it as a day to celebrate. I mean, she's no longer in pain. That was a really hard time. It was a really, really hard time. My kids wanted to come with me, especially my oldest. He still struggles with that to this day because he was very close to my mom. Even though he was young when she passed away, he was 9, 8. And he wanted to be there. And we have to keep explaining. I couldn't have brought an 8-year-old because I couldn't even barely take care of myself.
I had the honor of meeting your brother and sister this past weekend, Danny and Julie, and just loved them so instantly when I realized that they were your older brother and sister, and that they had flown all the way from Canada down to outside of Houston, where you live, in Katy, Texas, for this very special event. And what is the GEST Foundation?
It's funny. So when I had promised God I will do whatever he called me to do, so my book came out in October 2016. And before my book was even getting ready to be released, I think it was like September, and I had another dream, and I remember waking up and saying to Aaron, I feel like we're supposed to start a foundation to help others. And I remember him looking at me and going, oh my word.
Are you nuts, Michelle?
But I learned from the first time, I'm like, well, it was a few times, but I learned that if he's going to give me a dream, I don't want to not do it right away, because late obedience is still disobedience. I mean, in reality it is. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to be obedient. But I was thinking again, how do I do that? So I thought, why don't I go to people that have knowledge I don't? CPAs, lawyers, those people that have sort of been around my journey that would support me. So I had conversations with a few people, telling them my idea and asking if they'd support me, and they said, whatever you needed. It was in, I believe, November. We had our first meeting. I had about 9 people there surrounding me saying, whatever you need from us. I told them about the vision. So what I wanted was to provide grants for people going through any kind of cancer, for after surgeries or during treatments, because that's when I found I needed the most help. You can't do anything, you can't lift. So I thought, what if we could give them money and they could get a house cleaner, get groceries delivered, or maybe they need extra help with bills that month. And it's a little niche. There was nothing like that. So that's what we started the foundation for. And Aaron actually came up with a name. It's GEST, or GEST, and it's GEST. G is for my mom, Gemma. E is for my dad, Elmer, and my Baba, Elsie. S is for my oldest brother, Stephen, and they all passed away from cancer. And T is my maiden name, Tracula. So that was Aaron's idea, and I was like, that's beautiful. And in December, we filed for the papers for 501c3, and we had everything back within 4 weeks. If that's not telling you you're doing what God's calling you to do, I don't know what is. It was like within a month, everything done. Like I was just walking in obedience and faith, just saying, if this is what God's calling me to do, he's going to provide the people and what we need. And he has beyond.
Hi, my name is Esther Smina. I am so excited to be part of the Rock Walk of the GEST Foundation. I first met Michelle Perzan at an Ambitious Women conference. She had just found out that she had cancer 3 weeks before she attended. And at that conference, I saw a meek, shy, scared woman. And through these past few years, I have seen her blossom and embrace her adversity, embrace what had happened to her. And instead of shriveling up and not doing anything, she stepped out and became this ambitious woman who actually became a woman of strength, and came out and had her own TV show and founded a foundation, Strength in the Storm and GEST Foundation. And I am so excited to be at the 2nd annual Rock Walk Reign Over Cancer. Go, Michelle!
Hi, I'm Wendy Williams. I actually serve on the board of the GEST Foundation. And the reason I wanted to get involved with GEST Foundation and the Rock Walk is because my grandmother passed away from cancer years and years ago. And I know how much this type of charity would have been good for my mom to have, to help take care of the things that were needed when times were tough.
Thank you so much for joining me today for Toes in the Sand with Lisa. I hope that today's interview helped you to become inspired. I know Michelle's message of strength and overcoming certainly touched my heart. So together, I hope we find inspiration, and I also hope that something from today's interview causes you to dream big. Dream bigger than what is currently going on in your life. From Michelle, I learned that whatever circumstances are happening right now, there is a greater plan at stake. There are lives to impact. There are people to reach out to and connect with. And my show is about connecting. So I am so excited that you joined me today for Toes in the Sand with Lisa. Don't forget to jump on my website. I'd love to give you a free copy of my book called Toes in the Sand. And I'd also love to connect with you in my Toes in the Sand with Lisa Facebook group and also on Instagram. Have a wonderful day, and I'm so excited to connect with you next time as we put our toes in the sand.